want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Surprise, surprise, surprise. We're here early. But we have a reason. Because we're tired and we're old.
Hey, I'm Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you. And I'm going to go ahead and apologize.
I'm giving the not the people's eyebrow, because that's probably trademark. I'm giving
the couple's eyebrow?
The mafia eyebrow.
The mafia.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you don't know, we live stream the recording of our radio show, and we do that on Mondays. And so we do that straight to Facebook. We do that straight to YouTube. So if you want to see what these two ugly mugs look like, you should like, subscribe. You should, check out Mad Men of Masculinity page on Facebook and YouTube. Holla at your boys.
Yeah, in this digital world, we're still here in person-ish.
Yeah,
I mean, we're still doing things.
You know what I'm saying?
But like I was saying, I'm gonna apologize to y'all now. I'm a little low energy because last night was rough. I had one of those midnight wake-up calls where somebody hit the fire sale button and everything must go. So I'm still here for y'all, but it may not be my usual self. Yeah.
So, I mean, what was you eating? You eat some like 3-week-old tacos or something like that?
I think it was because I was enjoying.
You had that gas station taco, the gas station sushi.
No, I definitely was leftovers because I was sitting on my patio enjoying that beautiful day and watching some Drive to Survive. And then it was like, do I want to make something? No, I'll just heat up this leftovers. And I may not have checked the smell test.
You got it from that gas station, dude.
No, I made it myself. But
speaking of which, this dude, I heard this guy this morning talking about he went to Buc-ee's.
Yeah, what's up with Buc-ee's? Everybody keeps telling me to go there.
Go to Buc-ee's, man. It's a long way to drive up there.
Well, I drive by it all the time.
Talk about gas station food. That brings that up, man.
Right.
He said they got like a barbecue section. They got this section and that section, and that's huge. I don't know, man. We might have to take a Mad Men Mafia road trip up to Buc-ee's.
Yeah, we might as well. I mean, I drive by it, but they don't allow big trucks in there. So since I drive a big truck for work, one of my buddies at work, he's like, you got to stop in there. I'm like, well, they don't like big trucks. He's like, you park across the way at the liquor store. And then I'm like, I ain't walking across the street
for some Buc-ee's.
I mean, it may be all that, but
you never know. Might change your life.
Maybe if I'll go make some friends up north and then go to Buc-ee's on the way.
Might change. It's funny that we say we on the struggle bus a little bit with energy, because today we want to talk about momentum.
Well, hey, you know what? Sometimes when you don't have it, it's a good time to talk about it because you're focused on it because you're like, I just ain't got it.
Right. And when it comes down to it, first and foremost, I think as men, and just even as people, but you got to be able to. Momentum starts with the word that's buried in the word, which is the moment. And so you got to capture the moments and then connect the dots of those moments to have one moment lead to another, like dominoes. And next thing you know, you're able to ride the wave.
Yeah, it sounds like a song I once heard by an artist I once knew.
Who?
Eminem, man.
Oh, for real?
What is it? Yeah, Lose Yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I wouldn't know about that on this radio station, but
you probably won't hear that on KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High City.
You heard about him elsewhere.
Yeah. They probably don't play a whole lot of Eminem.
And also, if you've never read or listened to the book Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, he's very big on momentum, because momentum is not usually what you think, because you think it's motivation. Motivation doesn't last. And for a lot of us, like myself, who come up with 1,000 ideas a day and may start off pretty good, and then once that initial motivation and that, the energy surge from the idea falls away, then that's when you get the small incremental actions over time, which creates momentum. But it's about creating that discipline to do those small activities over time, and that will create your momentum. I think a lot of times we think momentum means I'm in the zone, that it's the energy from God is going to push me through this, and that's going to be my momentum. It's like it can be self-generated. It's just a matter of having the plan and creating it, because motivation is temporary usually.
Yeah, and we live in a society where it's instant gratification. Everybody wants instant gratification. Everybody want to be big right out of the gate. I want to be huge. I want to have a big old platform. I want to have all the followers. I want to have all the subscribers. I want to have all this and all that like right now. And we don't value the journey. That's one of the things I like about watching, watching Coach Prime and everything he's doing up at CU, because he talks about the fact that he loves the process. Obviously, he's measured on wins and losses, but he loves the process. And I think in this culture, that's kind of a lost art, is loving the process. We want to come right out of the gate and be big, come right out of the gate and have it all together, look good and all this other kind of stuff. And you got to be willing to go through some ugly live streams to get to the point where you got a big old good looking, fine-tuned kind of thing. But in this culture, man, everything is about instant gratification.
Yeah, no, and it is a journey. I mean, they say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And it is the journey. I mean, we were joking about it the other day, but it's true. We're going to be an overnight success after 10 years. That's what happens with most people, is they grind and grind for, 10,000 hours, 10 years, or whatever it comes down to. And then all of a sudden they hit they hit the crest, and now they're on the downhill slope. They've topped the mountain. And so all of a sudden people are like, oh, where'd they come from? I've never heard about them. Or all of a sudden you just got lucky. And now it's like, no, I'll put the work in. And it was those small incremental steps, which creates momentum. And that's the hardest part. That's why I think it's good to have a partner to work with, or to have somebody on your team, or to have a team in general to keep the momentum going. Because for a lot of us, we can only go so far on our own. And then once it starts getting hard, you need that support to continue the momentum. When you're trying to white knuckle it on your own and just push through. I mean, there's some guys out there that can. There's some of y'all monsters that you're wired that way. Most of us need a team. We need support, and it's that support that keeps us going to generate the momentum over time.
They say you can go fast alone, or you can go far with others. And, and to have a power team around you, to have a group of supporters, or just even somebody with you, I mean, man, I love the notion of being a superhero, but working in a group of other superheroes, Marvel Universe kind of thing, or the Justice League, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, just where we can all have our superpowers, but we do it together, and valuing the journey and all that kind of stuff. I've seen people try to do, for example, events, and come right out of the gate, very first time out of the gate, want to charge a whole lot of money and go all over the top, really high end, high this and high that. And it's like, but then you got to send out an email saying, yeah, it didn't work out, and when you try to do stuff by yourself, a lot of times you don't have the checks and balances and kind of the reality conversations and just all those kinds of things. And so, yeah, we can try to do this thing alone, but I totally agree with you, man. I think, with a whole lot of things in life, just walking through life, man, it's better when you got somebody to do it with you.
Yeah, especially for us guys, because I mean, it's so natural to sort of isolate. We beat this horse to death all the time, but having a group of guys around you to be that support, to be those checks and balances, and to help you when you don't have it, or to at least give you that jump start or a little bit of energy, because there's always more in the tank. But the mindset says, I don't have any more. Your mindset would say, oh, well, that didn't work, I failed, so why even bother? But when you have somebody around that gives you a little bit of a jump start, gives you a little kick in the butt, as it were, and gets you moving, because a lot of times it's just a matter of getting up and going again. Once you get up and start moving again, you'll find that rhythm, you'll find that energy. You just got to get moving, and having somebody to help you there, because it's much easier to get yourself moving when somebody else is holding you accountable, when there's somebody else there that you're kind of doing it with and doing it for. And so it's much easier that way than to white knuckle it on your own, because we talked about in the other episode, you got to fill your tank up and you got to tap in. And sometimes what you need is a little jump start from somebody else to get your engine going again, because you feel like you're gassed out.
I would love for my golf game to be like the guys that played last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I would love my golf game to be like the guys that can put on a green jacket at the end of a Sunday, right? I would love that. And a lot of millions of people would. The reality is, and when I first started playing, how many handful of years ago, took some lessons and that sort of stuff. And at first I just wanted to go to the driving range, just to hit the golf balls and all that kind of thing. And the reality is, it's not until you actually get out on the course and start to play that you start to develop a game, because, your game is not just a stationary spot on a driving range that's hitting the same thing over and over. Yeah, consistency and all that kind of stuff is important. But when you're able to get out and do the thing and just one step at a time, and then even more so when you got, some people to maybe go do it with, and I'm okay going to play golf by myself. But a couple of days ago when the two of us got to go out and play golf, man, to me, man, there's not much better. I mean, that is, that's like a chubby kid at a buffet for me, man. I'm just like, ooh, I mean, it's just good. Then when the weather's good and, when it's kind of leisurely and, you have to play with nobody else, it's just the two of us, nobody in front of us, nobody behind us, all that kind of stuff. But point is, when you can do that, and I felt like as far as my game, I played pretty good, because the pressure was off. And so just had a great time, man. And it is about the little steps. It's about just making the first initial thing, recognizing the moment and just being in the moment, but then being able to have somebody to do it with is amazing.
Yeah, doing it with somebody else. I mean, the shared experiences is what life is about. And that's why for us guys, it's so hard when we isolate, because we have less and less shared experiences, which is the spice of life, which is the motivator, which is, creates that energy and the momentum when you have people to do things with or to do things for, and both. When you have that family, those friends, people that you're doing things for and with, it makes you feel like there's more to it. It's more satisfying. It's definitely much more fulfilling. And yeah, you can go play golf by yourself, and sometimes that's fun. You can go out and do anything by yourself. Sometimes that's nice. You need that time, but it is so much better to have those shared experiences. I mean, that's really what life's about, is having those shared experiences with other people. Good, bad, right, or wrong. I mean, we had just the Surviving the Storm episode not too long ago, and it's been struggle bus time for Kirk. And, for me now too, I think I just decided I didn't want him to be alone. So I jumped on the struggle bus too, accidentally.
Dummy.
But that's the way it is. Those are the experiences, and it's nice to know that you're not the only one most times, especially when you're on a struggle bus.
Yeah, and so so basically boiling down here, especially in this first segment, is just creating momentum out of the moments and being able to capitalize on just one step, especially if you got somebody to do that one step with you. If you ever been hurt or injured or had to recover from something, when you go to physical therapy, you got somebody to help you stand up, to help you take that one step, to point out the next step, to all those kinds of things. And so all of that is part of building the momentum, just from the very beginning, in recognizing the moments, recognizing the opportunities, and just capitalizing on that. But then just taking that first step and being able to do it ugly, being willing to do it ugly, so that eventually you can get back to, or get to wherever it is you want to get to.
Yeah, it is not the nitrous button. It is not the turbo button. It is not the boost of speed. It is the slow, steady turtle race that gets you there. And it's those small actions over time with people that will get you the greatest momentum.
You know what momentum we need?
Is it time to go home?
Oh, hey, come on, man. See?
Oh, it's not time to go
home?
No,
it ain't time to go home, man. You're always trying to clock out early, man.
I'm struggle bus, man.
Trying to clock out early, man. Do your time, man. Do your shift.
Okay.
Work your whole shift, man. Don't mail it in.
Can I get a break?
You can get a break, though.
Hey, let's take that break.
All right, we'll be right back. Mad Men of Masculinity, KLDC 1220 AM. So, this is short in this
those headphones,
this outlet. I don't know if it's the headphones or the jack. Maybe that was it. I think the little adapter thing was just loose or something like that. All of a sudden, it jumped up like.
Well, those have the 3.5 and then the larger.
Yeah, and I think it just wasn't screwed in all the way. I was like, whoa! All of a sudden, man, we jumped up.
Tanner, do I sound as dead as I feel, or are we doing okay? Thank you. Turn me up. I need some turn up.
Nice. Turn them up. Just don't turn them on. But we don't need none of that, man. Ain't nobody got no time for all that.
That's just weird.
At all. At all. All right, boom.
Yes, we are back.
Yeah, we back.
This is the Mad Men Show.
We still here. KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High City. Oh, man, all the platforms everywhere, on the YouTube, Facebook channel near you, on Spotify, all the podcast platforms, all that kind of stuff, man. We all over the place, man. We just doing our thing.
Yeah, welcome to the struggle bus. We are piloting the struggle bus today, but we're still here for you.
You know, and sometimes it's like that. You know, sometimes speaking of momentum, that's a great segue, man, because sometimes you got to plow through. And momentum ain't about how you feel; it's about what it is going on in the environment that you in. And that's one of the things that, from a guy perspective, we can't always be in our feelings and operate out of our feelings. Because if you want to maintain, if you want to keep, if you want to build, if you want to grow, if you want to ride the momentum, whatever it is, man, it can't be how you feel. You got to have a feeling for the moment. You got to have a feeling for the image I keep getting in my head is surfers. I've never surfed. You know,
it's fun. It's hard.
Don't get out on the surfboard, man. But
you can do it.
Man, ain't no brothers getting out there. Man.
You can do it. I've seen it.
You ain't never seen a brother on no surfboard, man.
Yeah,
I ain't talking about like a dark Hawaiian. I'm talking about like a brother. I'm talking about somebody from a concrete jungle.
Next time you go to Jamaica, ask them.
I've been to Jamaica a lot of times. You ain't never seen no Jamaicans
because they ain't got no waves.
Dude, if they had an Olympic team for surfing, there wouldn't be no Jamaicans on that team.
They got a bobsled team.
Well, that's different though. It's bobsledding, you know. Brothers don't do no surfing, man.
No, but it's a great example of if we weren't doing this together, I probably would have pulled the parachute because I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I'm struggling. I don't feel good. I didn't hardly sleep last night. You know, my body's feeling all out of whack. So it's like, but you know, we got to be here. We got to do our thing because that's how you keep the momentum going. Right. You know, it's the small efforts because. Yeah, this might feel like a long hour, you know, today, but it's still the same hour. It's still the same time. It's still the same incremental energy add or, you know, gas or whatever you want to call it that keeps the momentum going, keeps things going. And so having those partners that you do things with that can help keep you going even when you're not feeling it because you ain't going to feel it every day.
Yeah, you're not. I mean, no matter what you're doing, you know, shoot, if you're in a relationship, you're not going to feel it every day. You ain't going to feel like being in or around or with that person or none of that kind of stuff. And you're just not going to feel like being in that relationship all the time. You're not going to feel like you can have a dream job. And guess what? That dream job is going to have some days where you just don't feel like it. You can have whatever it is that you think your heart's desire. You know, if you spend enough days at Disney World, you ain't going to feel like being at Disney World. I mean, if I probably if I spent enough days on the golf course, there's gonna be a day or two where I'm like, I don't really feel, especially if I'm working on my game kind of thing. I mean, you can't, and that's almost the difference maker because you like these pro golfers when you look at what they do and you think, how do you do that? How do you just step up and out of a sand trap 130 yards away, drain it, you know, put it in the cup? I mean, it's because these guys spend copious amounts of hours working on their craft, building the momentum for the moment. And it don't have anything to do with how they feel.
No, and that's actually how the momentum helps you because when you lose the motivation, when you don't feel like it, that momentum will pull you along. And I think that's one of the things Darren Hardy talks about in the book is you want to get to a point where you're not pushing anymore because you initially have to push. That's the motivation. It gives you the push. And, you know, it's like the rocket. It uses 85% of its fuel getting off the pad and getting into the air. And then after that, it's used as much less. So you need that extra motivation, extra energy to get started. But then as you build the momentum, that will take over and pull you along and keep things going like those golfers. I'm sure they don't want to be on the golf course 8 hours a day, hitting the same shot over and over again, getting the muscle memory, doing all those things, but they do. And that's why they are there because people think, oh, I could be like Tiger. Well, start playing when you're 2 years old and keep playing obsessively until you're in your teens and 20s. And then maybe you could, but that's that momentum that you need to become the success you want. And you know what? Not all of us have it, but you can probably get it. As long as you plan for it and you have a support system around you to keep you going.
Believe it or not, over the last weekend, man, I got to sit in on a classical music concert.
Love those.
And it was, man, dude. I mean, I was almost emotional in this thing, man. It was a celloist or cellist, whatever. The guy on the piano, and he was most of all of the music was his composers or music that he composed, and then there was a violinist. And every now and then they were bringing a vocalist. But, man, it was absolutely amazing. I mean, just to watch them. And it's not even like they had sheet music or nothing like that. You know, so not only did they have to remember their part in every song, they had to remember the song. How does this song go? How does that song go? And so, you know, as I watch that, and that's why I like any kind of live music, man, because I just like to watch people in their gift and making their gift their craft. And where I'm going with that is after the concert, I went up to the violinist and the guy playing the cello, and I asked them individually like how long they'd been doing that. And I mean, these guys, both of them looked like it was a female that was playing the violin. Both of them looked like they were in their early 20s. And he said that he had been playing the cello for 26 years. She said that she had been playing the violin for 25 years. I mean, and it showed. And you got to tell me, you can't tell me that in that time period, there weren't some days where they didn't feel like playing it. They didn't feel like practicing. They didn't feel like doing all that kind of stuff. But it was the commitment to the gift to make it a craft, to then make that craft an art form. And it was building that momentum over all the years. And now it's just, they probably think in notes. Like I know people that, that are professional musicians and make that their living. And when you ask them like how many hours they've spent, a lot of times they just laugh, like, hours. They don't even measure it in hours. They measure it in years or decades. And it just becomes second nature. But doing that thing over and over again when you don't feel like it, whatever it is in life, man, that's how you separate yourself from everybody else. When you do it and you gain the momentum when you don't feel like doing it.
Well, and that's why picking something you love to do helps so much. Because, there's those days where we don't want to go to the day job, but we drag ourselves out of bed because we know that that's paying for our passion. And coming here, even not feeling well, it still is energizing. It's still fun. And it's something that you can more easily gain the momentum when it's something you love. Like I'm sure those musicians, they love music. They love to play the instrument. And so that was something that helped motivate them and keep them building that momentum and keep going all those years when I'm sure they had way more practices than we've ever even thought about practicing anything, and years of rejection and years of just hardships, learning their craft and becoming experts at it. But then at some point, once you put in enough time and you allow that momentum to build, then you hit the downhill slope. You crest the mountain, and then it's, gravity takes over and you get that natural momentum. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, you guys are overnight successes. And you're laughing because it's been 10, 20 years.
Yeah, it's like I've been practicing for a decade to be an overnight success. We've had, and, we've been doing this, a handful of years plus at this point. And I think sometimes we probably take it for granted. But, multiple times lately, we've had guests come in and afterwards they say, man, y'all just kind of natural at it, going back and forth. And especially when they see we literally show up, we turn on everything and we just start talking. Just and then next thing you know, it just flows. And we've had a couple instances here over the past month or two where one of us was gone and the other one had to kind of bring in somebody else and kind of carry the flow of the show. And it's just not the same. And so it's one of the things that when people come in, they see how we'll do an intro or outro and we just flow back and forward. When I'm going to finish, I know when you're going to finish somehow without any practice. And some of that just comes down to just consistency over time. And like you said, I think at some point you do crest that mountain and it just does become second nature. So right now we're in the middle of practicing for a decade. So when we become overnight sensations, then people are going to say, man, how do y'all do that? And, man, we've been practicing to be an overnight thing for a decade.
I'm kind of glad I haven't gone back to look, but I'm kind of glad. I don't think our first year or so is online. It might be. I remember we were talking about whether loading it up there or not, and because it was on Facebook, and I think you were. So there may be a blessing in disguise because, dang, y'all go back and look at our original episodes, and then you look at these, you'll see the progression. You'll see where the momentum comes from because we started off just fumbling around, not knowing what we were doing, and then after a time, we found a rhythm. Found a way, and then we practice that enough to now it's second nature. And so it looks easy to people, but and I joke and say it's just us, it's just how we are, but it was built over time. It was not just an overnight thing. It didn't happen just because we're naturally gifted and whatnot. I mean, we have some gift towards it. We have a little bit of gifted gap, so that helps, but it was not as good as it is now, and it's not as good as it's going to be.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And projecting forward, when 5, 10 years maybe down the line, whatever it is, when you project forward, you got to think of, man, it's only going to get better. But it takes that consistency to ride the wave of momentum and not quit on it. Again, I picture a surfboard and a person surfing, and it's like, you know, that wave that started way out in the middle of the ocean, by the time it gets closer to the shore, it starts to build up and build up. You've probably seen videos of people on surfboards and they kind of looking back over their shoulder at the wave as it builds. And sometimes you got to let a wave pass you by because it ain't ready for you or you ain't ready for it. Like it ain't, the timing ain't right. And that's, you know, another metaphor for life. But then there's other times where they see the wave building, they look out, you know, and they see it coming, and here's my set coming in, and then, you know, and then they start paddling. And then when they start paddling and when they get up to the speed of that wave, then they jump up on the board and they just ride that thing all the way in and make it look good.
And that's where the practice comes in, because you got to learn how to read the wave. You got to learn how to discern if that's going to be a good one for you. And then you got to get to that core strength, those shoulders, and be able to paddle and then pop up and catch it. Because, yeah, it looks effortless. And you know, depending on the wave and depending on where you're at, it may or may not be. But all of those things come before actually getting up on the wave. All of those things come before actually getting momentum and making it look easy. It's all that preparation before that most people don't see, don't acknowledge, and aren't even aware of. All they see is the finished product, and then they judge you on the finished product, or they make up some story about, oh, well, you're this or you're that. They don't see all the extra work and struggle that goes on behind it. So that's one of the things that having a team, having a passion, loving what you do will help you continue that momentum, because it'll get you past motivation. It'll pull you along once you are done and you're out, your tank's empty, but you know that this is what you're here for. So that will help pull you along and keep you in that momentum state, in that flow state, as long as you do the work before and you learn. And like Kirk said, I mean, sometimes it's not yours, and that's one way to keep momentum and energy, is to not jump on everything. Not just, you know, don't try to jump at every little opportunity, because it may not be for you. Sometimes the best way to become successful is to be selective and only take those things that are actually meant for you.
You got to think of what you just said. Reminded me of people that go to the gym. You know, people that are really fit or in shape. You know, nobody sees the effort. Nobody sees the hours and hours in the gym. Nobody sees the everything that goes into it. Even the people that go so far as to change their diet, but nobody sees all the hours it takes in a gym to look like whatever a person might look like on the back end in terms of fitness. And you got to be willing to put in that work. Like, it don't just happen. There are things that you can bring in that help you, but you got to be willing to put in the time to develop, put in the time to study and to watch and to ride those waves when they come in. And let's ride ourselves into a break, please.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Mad Men of Masculinity, KLDC. What you doing over there, man?
I'm just phone, man. I tell you,
fumbling around, fumbling and bumbling.
I turn off the volume and then it decides it's gonna vibrate and everything anyway. So I was like, I looked over at yours, like, is that yours? And I'm like, it better not be mine. It's mine.
Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, this is the second time in the past couple of weeks
don't be having
your
memory
phone
right now.
Has become part of the show.
You don't need to be having no kind of memory right now.
If
like that.
I'm not mistaken, I remember distinctly your phone going off in the last week or two in the middle of the show.
Yeah. It's a learning process.
What are you, new here?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Well, see, sometimes when you're on the struggle bus, things happen.
Come on, man. What do you go to public school?
Yes, military public school. So.
Oh, that's yeah.
I don't even want to hear it.
No, I ain't gonna say nothing.
Ready?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Struggle Bus.
It's your boys.
It is the Mad Men of Masculinity
on KLDC.
Right here in the Mile High City.
That's right. And on the interwebs.
Everywhere.
Thank
you for joining us on this Struggle Bus episode as we talk about momentum.
As we film this on or record this on on the middle of April, tax day, as we record this thing. You know what I'm saying? Y'all better file your extensions. If you listen to this live, you better get on that now, file your extensions. If you listen to this over the air, you too late, sucker. Oh, they gonna get some momentum after you, boy. Man, them 3-letter organizations, they gonna get some momentum putting their foot right up your butt. But we're talking about momentum, even though ironically today both of us are kind of a little bit struggling, but we doing the daggone thing anyway. We recognizing the moments and we pushing through, and we're being consistent. We're not going by how we feel. We putting it in, and we putting in the work, man, trying to make this thing happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes the best thing to do is be honest, be truthful, and that's one of the things we try to do is be as obvious and apparent and authentic is the word I was looking for, because that's just the way it is. I think we will resonate more with you when we're being honest and not trying to put up a facade of perfection, because it ain't gonna happen. It's just being human. You're gonna have struggle bus days, and we're on it. I have my reasons, he has his reasons, but we're still here struggling along.
Where the crux of this topic came from, I was getting my hair cut a few days ago in the morning, and it was me, my barber, and another guy. And I almost want to say, I get my hair cut at like 5:30 in the morning, by the way. And so sometimes I'm not fully awake. But the other guy that was in there, man, I almost want to say he might have even been like the pastor of a church or something like that. I don't know. But somehow we all got talking about, he was talking about like what COVID did in society in terms of momentum for a lot of organizations and even businesses, and in his case, like a church, what COVID did as far as momentum or the lack thereof, because people weren't able to show up. And so things came to a screeching halt. And now all of those, whether it be companies, restaurants, just businesses, whatever, our own personal lives, people trying to get back to kind of the rhythm that society was at, before 4 years ago when all that hit. And it's a tough thing. And there's some things that didn't survive because they weren't able to keep the motivation, the momentum. Now, let's say, for example, you were in the web streaming business. Let's say you were a Zoom tech executive, or in this case, StreamYard or something like that. Well, I would say you probably saw the opportunity, even in the shutdown, to gain and get some momentum. And now, Zoom has become a verb like Google, and it's one of those things that it's just natural because they saw a moment, an opportunity. And I worked for a company that was the internet provider for, in this case, Zoom at the time, and they doubled their network within like a matter of days. Literally, they went to every internet provider they had, and they doubled the size of their network in terms of bandwidth, and they're still riding that momentum.
Well, and that goes back to that surfing analogy of being able to read what's coming and then jumping on when the timing is right, and then generating the momentum. Once you get on it, you got to stay on it. You got to keep moving forward and having that support to get you going through the tough times and being able to read. I think that's one of the biggest success lessons is learning a depth of vision, is being able to look at where you're at now and project it out, and then see how that expands and how that scales and how that can grow, and have that vision even now as you're starting out. I know when we started this, it was just kind of for fun, us just talking to each other. But then it was like, well, we could put it on this platform, we put it on that platform. Oh, we can get it on the radio. We could do this and that. And so then it starts to grow that vision, as anything naturally does. And as you gain the momentum, those things naturally will come to you. And just being present and in the moment, like you said, is how you judge what is like the next step, the next move, but also keeping your vision on, a larger goal.
And you got to be willing to see things that other people don't necessarily see in a moment, that other people may not be looking for the same things that you're looking for. You got to be able to see past just the instance and into the moment. And those are two different things. And you got to be willing to kind of almost be a soothsayer. You got to be willing to be a future predictor in a way, but not even a future predictor, but you got to be able to be of the mindset of, let's write some of the future. There's not, you have a hard time finding, any kind of media platform where men are talking about men stuff from a man perspective, and it's all positive and healthy, and nobody's hating on nobody. It's not just complaining about women. It's not complaining about life and kids and ex-wives and all dating and all that kind of stuff. We do some of that, but it's about the bigger picture of just topics that we all deal with. And, and there are men all around us, are going day to day thinking, okay, where am I now? Where do I want to be in 5 to 10 years, whatever that looks like? And not only that, but how do I want my life to end? And especially when you get to what is considered be probably the second half of life, man, you got to be able to recognize these things and see some momentum in your relationship, in your profession, in your body, your mind, in your friendships, all these other kind of things. You got to be able to recognize the moment to be able to build momentum to be able to ride this thing out for the second half if you are in the second half of your life.
Yeah, it's a matter of adding on to what you have already built. It's a matter of, and in many cases, it's a matter of acknowledging this is where I am. And so now I need this help. Now I need this support. Now I need these things in place. And I think that's one of the hardest things is all of us feel, as like we're still 18, 19, 20-year-olds inside. Our bodies tell us different. And accepting that and going, okay, well, that means I need to do these adult things and plan for things because there are those that count on me. There are those that are going to need me to continue that momentum for them, whether I'm still here or not, because they're part of my responsibility. They're part of my journey. And they're also part of that future and the momentum I have been building. I was building it for those in my life, for my team, for my family, for kids, whatever it is. And then making those choices and being aware that these things need to happen.
And I would to take a moment to shout out Crawford Broadcasting, shout out, Mike, the boss around here, for having a vision of, having a couple guys come on and do a show, a man show about stuff. I mean, that's not normal. And to be able to, to mentor us and to encourage us and support us and all that kind of, man, that's huge. And so to be able to be surrounded by people to help you ride that wave, and whether that's coaches, mentors, all those kinds of things is huge, and it's important, and it can make all the difference in the world in terms of you being able to build that momentum. Somebody being able to say, hey, let me help you get to where you want to get to, and let's do something different. That's huge.
Yeah, and it's that support. It's that team around you. That's how you're going to build that momentum. Like I said before, if you're trying to do it all on your own, you've only got so much gas in the tank. You got to have some of those there to help you. That's why they usually have more than one horse when they're pulling a wagon or pulling something heavy, because the whole horsepower thing. How much can that horse pull? Well, they can exponentially pull more when you add more horses to the wagon. And so it's the same as for us as humans. The more we have on our team, the less you have to do, the more energy you have to contribute, and the farther you can go and the more you can accomplish when you have a team around you. And the nice thing is when you have a team around you and it's something you can experience together and share together, then it's more fun. Plus, you don't have to do as much. I mean, it's like the old question: would you rather have 100% of one person's work or 1% of 100 people's work? Well, the math, if you do it correctly, 100 people will get a whole lot more done in a whole lot less time.
Speaking of getting stuff done, I'm gonna shout out our man Tanner, man, a producer extraordinary. If you listen to this over the air, over 1228, shoot, even some of our edits that end up on the podcast platforms. All the editing stuff with all the sponsors in the middle and just all that kind of stuff. That even though sometimes he'll be in here on the other room listening to somebody else's podcast during our show, we ain't gonna talk about that. But we know he still loves us and we love him. But to be able to have a team to make the dream work, man, including our sponsors. All that kind of stuff, man. You can't do it alone. Matter of fact, more often than not, when you see people surfing, more often than not, there's more than one person surfing out on the same beach on the same day at the same time.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be out there on your own on a bad day. It might be nice because you can catch all the waves, but when you fall, which you will, and whether you want to equate that to life or to business or whatever else, you're going to fall. You're going to stumble. You're going to make mistakes. And having somebody else there that got your back, that can help pull you up, that help get you back in the flow, help get your momentum back up, is why you need others around you. They say it takes a village to raise kids. Well, I bet you it takes 2 villages to raise a couple. And depending on how big your tribe is, you're going to need more and more people. And the more people you get, the more momentum you will have, and the more you'll be able to get done and accomplish.
One of the challenges about men in our culture is we are told, I feel like, whether it's overtly, whether it's outright, or whether it's just by whatever, the matrix, that we got to do stuff alone. That we gotta, if it's gonna be, it's up to me kind of thing. And I gotta be the hero. I gotta be the one to get everything across the finish line. I gotta. And I think that's one of the biggest lies of life, man. And one of the biggest misconceptions, false advertisements, whatever you want to call it, the fact is, man, as men, we are meant to live together, to fight shoulder to shoulder, to live back to back. I got your back, you got my back, like Bubba and Forrest Gump in the foxhole. You know, you lean against me, I'll lean against you, and we'll keep each other up. All that kind of stuff. I mean, that's how we're supposed to live. You can't live life with any kind of momentum if you're trying to do life alone. If you're trying to do it by yourself, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean the whole lone wolf thing. I mean, wolves are pack animals. You know, maybe there's one that got lost or something like that. That's the only way he's alone. Maybe he got ostracized. Who knows? But that's very rare. Less than 1%. Wolves are pack animals. We as humans are pack animals, whether we want to admit it or not. And I know a lot of us guys get that training that, oh, you got to suck it up. Nobody wants to hear it. Work harder. You know, be a man. You know, all those different things. But to do those things successfully, to do those things correctly, you need a squad. You need people around you, whether it's just to keep you motivated, whether it's just to keep that momentum going, whether it's just to be there as support, whether they're on your team or just watching. You know, that's why you have cheerleaders on, you know, with a football team and or you know, a sports team, and then people in the stands. They can play that game without any of those things, but having that support, having those people cheering you on gives you that extra energy, keeps the momentum going. And, you know, that's why we need people around us.
By nature, the definition of momentum, or the concept of momentum, is like consistent movement in the direction you want to go. And so by that, the opposite of that is stopping. The opposite of that is quitting. You know, the opposite of that is I can't do no more. And when you find yourself in those moments, that's when you need a tribe. That's when you need a crew. That's when you need a madman mafia to help, you know, cheer you on, to lift you up, to support you, to carry the weight when you can't carry it yourself. Because sometimes life is just too tough, man. And sometimes you need somebody to help carry your weight of life. And life is a whole lot better when you have people that you can reach out to. And sometimes it's just a vent. You know, when we were playing golf the other day, I was just venting about stuff. There's nothing that can be done. And, you know, obviously, I mean, from your perspective, I wasn't trying to get you to solve no problems, but, you know, the gift was you just listen. I mean, in the midst of all my bad shots, actually, you probably had more bad shots than I did. Yeah, I mean, you know,
I don't know about all that.
Now I
think you're fantasizing.
I'm pretty sure, you know.
I think we had, okay, let's play fair. I think we had an equal amount of bad shots.
No.
Yeah,
bad shots? I think you probably had more bad shots than I did.
That's right.
I think we might have played equally as crappy, but as far as bad shots, I don't know. Anyhow.
Yeah, that's right.
But in the middle of all of that, man, you just, you know, just listened and just, you know, just let me vent about stuff, man. And that's how you keep momentum in life. That's how you keep momentum. You know, again, just the game of golf is tremendous because you just keep going. You just keep, you know, no matter what happened on the last hole, you just keep going and you just build up to the next one.
Yeah, I had a thought and it went out of my head, and then you start talking about golf, and then it really went out of my head. So I don't even know what I was talking about. Yeah. But yeah, you gotta keep it going. Got to keep your tribe. Got to keep your crew, and don't allow them to overly isolate you, because that's something that a lot of us are dealing with, especially if we're in our middle years and single men. It just kind of naturally happens. So got to get a crew around you just to keep it moving.
And we way around moving to a break.
All right, let's move it.
We'll be right back. Mad Men of Masculinity. Tanner, you ain't listening to somebody else's podcast, then, are you?
What happened, Tom? Can't hear you.
I know, man. I looked at.
I was looking at
we was a minute past.
That's not it. I was looking at a thing like we only got like 10, 15 minutes.
That wasn't too bad.
But, man, I'm struggling. Let's get this last one because
let's do the dang thing.
Ugh.
What, you got to go to the bathroom?
No, I just my head.
You got to poop?
Nope. I'm pretty much cleaned out right now.
For real?
For real? Yeah.
I was talking to my doctor about them gut cleanse kind of stuff, man. You know, I don't know. Maybe I clicked on one, but I'm getting a lot of ads for that. Maybe it's just my age, but getting a lot of ads just for gut cleanse kind of thing. And, you know, I mean, he said they make you feel better, but there's other ways to get you.
You gotta have a good digestive system. But once you have a bug like I had last night and it cleans everything out.
For real, dude? You was like that?
Yeah.
For real?
I was leaking at both ends.
Oh, dude.
Oh, nice. Super Bowl. It's a good Super Bowl night.
I'm going to put that in the category of too much information.
Yeah. It's a good thing it was on a break, so he didn't have to cut that out.
You know, yeah, something like that. That's right. Yeah, no, that ain't something not. We don't do that, man. Don't nobody surf in the hood. For real. We don't even car surf. We don't do none of that, man. We don't nobody do this. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. See, yeah, you from San Diego. You ain't never seen a brother out there. You ain't never seen a brother out. And there's brothers that live in San Diego. I mean, most of them are in the Navy, but still, I mean, you ain't never seen them out there. But anyhow, that's all good. I've seen a lot of video.
I think it's a water thing. 'Cause I see a lot of dudes that will snowboard and ski.
Yeah,
but maybe it's just a water thing. I don't know.
Because man, ain't no sharks on the mountain.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's bears and moose and stuff, but yeah. All right, squirrel. Let's get back to it.
Yeah. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Mad Men of Masculinity.
Right here on KLDC.
That's right. 12:20 a.m.
in the Mile High City.
And on the interwebs.
Everywhere. So it's the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter.
I'm gonna apologize once again for my struggle busting self, but we're making it happen.
Fourth quarter. Shout out Denver Nuggets. Come on, man. We got you.
You can do
Come
it.
on, Nuggets. You can do this thing, man. I think that last time I saw they had the second seed. I don't know if they still got the second seed. But either way, in the playoffs, we're gonna do this thing. We're gonna run it back to back.
Speaking of struggle bus, did
Yeah.
you see Tiger this weekend
I did not.
or last weekend?
Was he hurting?
He came in last.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Stop lying, dude.
No, he did.
Not last.
Yeah.
Did he make the cut?
Oh, did he
For
make
the
the cut?
weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh, okay.
yeah. I know he needed one more to make the cut, but and so you saying like over the weekend?
Yeah, he came in last of the cut.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I mean, even the great
Man.
Mr. Woods has struggle bus times.
Man, first the Fat Boys break up, and now this.
Oh, see.
Man, not Tiger.
Mhm.
Come on, man, not
Mhm.
Tiger.
Yeah, now it's time for Charlie to take over. It's Charlie Woods' time.
Yeah, he gonna be the truth.
He's gonna be good, but
He gonna be the real deal.
I think he's gonna have so much more like scrutiny because he's
Yeah.
Tiger's son. And he grew up with him, and I mean, you talk about having the coach.
Yeah, but you know, the
Having a
hotter
coach, being a
fires
coach.
make the strongest iron kind of thing.
Mhm.
You know, he'll be used to the spotlight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He don't have to try to figure that part out.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably did the same kind of training things that his dad did to him, where he was like throwing stuff at him and yelling and ringing bells and doing all stuff while he's hitting.
Yeah.
You know, they do that to us. We just drop the club and run away because
And as long as he don't make the same mistakes,
right. Yeah,
he'll be all right.
I think he'll be all
Because
right.
that was a tipping point for Tiger. Like
Mhm.
for real. That man, but I don't know.
But
What was his weakness, his strength? Like, the fact that he was, freaking out like that, was that why he was killing it on the golf course?
Well, I mean, he definitely got his momentum back. I mean, he restructured. He did everything he had to do. He dealt with it. He didn't shy away from it. He kept his team around him, and he did what he had to do. And then he started coming back. And I mean, that was a great comeback story.
But dude, he's getting up there, man. He's getting up there, and his body just can't hold up.
No, I mean, and that's one of the things you don't think about it when you only play 9 holes or 18 holes a week. When these guys are playing 72 holes over a 3-day period, and they walk everywhere. There's no carts.
That's a lot.
There's a lot of walking. All that. I mean, yeah, they got caddies to carry their bags, but they're still, they're walking.
And speaking of the reset kind of concept, when a lot of times, and again, I'm thinking in my mind of surfing when it comes to momentum. All the surfers, eventually that wave dies down when it hits the shore. At some point, that wave kind of is not a wave anymore when it's just a little trickle. At some point, you got to get off the surfboard, and you got the choice: do I stay here or do I get back out there?
Yeah.
And just like a Tiger scenario, when the wave ends, you got to make the choice: am I going to stay here or am I going to get back out there? And so when it comes to momentum, sometimes we find ourselves in life where we got to make the choice of, okay, do I stay down or am I going to get back out there and ride another wave in?
Yeah, that reminds me of what was that the Rocky movie where he was talking to his son about, nothing hits harder in life. And it's not about how hard you can get hit, but how hard you can get hit and get back up. And, when you have people around you to get you back up.
Yeah.
Because like I said before, a lot of times it's the mindset. And when you've tried everything you think that you can come up with and things aren't working, having people around you, having a crew, having, like the Mad Men Mafia there to support you, that's how you get back up. Somebody just to give you that hands up, give you that head nod, give you that, like, I got you. Just that support will help you keep that momentum going. Because when doing it alone may seem like you can get there faster and easier because there's less people there to talk to you or give you their opinion. But like Kirk always says, you go fast alone or far together. And when it comes to momentum and building a life and doing things you love and creating something that may take 5 or 10 years to become an overnight success, that's why you have to have those people around you. And this show probably would have lasted 6 months if it was just me. That's just the honest truth. The fact that we were doing it together made sure that it kept going and kept the momentum going.
And then you definitely need the people around you. You definitely need the support. Like I said, when that wave dies down, when that wave, you can be a one-hit wonder. You can be a Milli Vanilli all you want, but to be able to sustain, to be able to have longevity over time, that's when good becomes greatness. The reason we sitting around talking about Tiger is because, man, he's been good for a long time. No matter, this dude done went through his whole personal life breakdown. He went through his body breaking down. He get in a car accident. He's got, rods and screws in his ankles and all, and he's still relevant. And so, when those waves come at you, all of those waves are going to die out at some point in time. And you got to be willing and able to recognize not only that moment, but to be able to get back up on the board and duck dive down under the surf, and get back out there into the ocean to look for that very next wave. And a lot of times having somebody and some people in your corner to encourage you to get back out there and do it again is big time important.
Yeah, it comes back to sometimes just the old saying, adapt or die. There comes a time where your wave is run out and it's time for you to get off that one and get on another one. And so if you're being hard-headed and trying to stick to, well, this is the way it's always worked, well, that's how you end up just running yourself into the ground, because everything shifts. As we've seen since 2020, everything shifts. Even start way back in 2008, talking about way back. 2008, we had the recession, we had all those things going on in real estate, and then, pandemic, whatever, and then things just shift. And so being willing to adapt, and that adaptation will help you keep that momentum going, because you just shift directions and keep the energy going. You don't want to stop and then have to start again, because then you got to spend all that energy starting up again. But adapting means you're following the curve, you're following the wave, you're following the flow to keep that momentum going, keep that energy going, so you don't have to start over again.
I'm thinking about people in professions like real estate, where it's all about cycles, it's all about waves, and you gotta be willing to ride whatever wave is happening now, but you also got to have the vision and the sustainability to get through the low points of the cycle. Our man Barry, who's been in it forever, he gets creative on a lot of things that he does, and sometimes you got to get creative to be able to sustain the cycles, to ride the waves that keep coming in. And again, when you get to a low point, you got to be willing to go back out and look for the next wave, whatever the next wave is. And so I think about people like in those kind of professions. I think about times in life where people may have health issues, or guys that go through divorce. Oh man. Guys that go through divorce, it can be the loneliest, darkest, most miserable place that you ever want to find yourself in, and still be surrounded by a bunch of people on a daily basis. And it can just be a dark, dark time. You got to be willing to not only sustain that wave and that cycle, but you got to be willing to pick yourself up, get back up on the surfboard, and get back over there, climbing over some of the waves to get back out into the ocean, whatever that ocean looks like for you, whether that's getting back into the dating life, or whether that's just, reminding yourself that you're not as bad as you're being portrayed, to be in this legal system. But a lot of times guys will go through the ups and downs, man. You got to be willing to ride those waves, but then also on the down times to be able to get back up on those waves and get back out there.
Yeah. And if you're watching us and you're thinking, hey, I want to start something, or I want to, I'm not passionate about my job, so I want to start something new, having that depth of vision and knowing it's going to take time, knowing you need support, set yourself up for success, and know that success is going to entail needing support, having a view of longevity, having a long-term goal, and knowing that it's not going to go that way, being able to adapt. Those who are the most successful are the ones that did adapt. They didn't say it has to look this way or it has to be that way. They got people around them. They got coaches. They got assistants. They got a crew around them. They kept to the vision. They allowed the vision to adapt, because so many times you say, oh, it has to look like this. Well, if you stick to that, having to be a certain way and just, you're basically going to run yourself into the ground that way. And yeah, sometimes we have to fail forward. We have to fail and then change. And that's part of that adaptation too. But doing that on your own is so much harder than when you have people around you who can see all those blind spots you have, see those areas you can't see, And so if you're planning on doing something or you're dreaming, it's time to start your dream and do something you love, make sure you set yourself up for success by knowing it's going to take time, knowing you need support, and knowing that you're going to have to adapt.
I said the crux of this conversation came from a conversation that I was a part of at the barbershop. And I think about my main man, Rory. Shout out Rory. As my barber, he's been my barber for, I don't know what, last 15, 20 years, something like, I don't know, a long time. And just watching him, just thinking about this thing when the pandemic hit, barbers, everything shut down, including barbershops. And, he had to cut hair out of his house. I'd go to the living room to cut hair. And then just even recently, he shut down one shop, opened up another shop, a few miles away. I had a whole lot of ups and downs and just changes, but you got to be willing to have the guts to adapt to whatever the situation is and ride the momentum, even if the momentum comes from a dangerous or a bad wave. You still got to be able to adapt and ride whatever it is that is in the moment to be able to survive, but to keep that thing going, man. So shout out to all the guys that are out there just doing the best they can to find the moment. And then when they find the moment, hopefully they find the next one to connect to, like Tarzan swinging through the jungle, one vine to the next vine to the next vine. But you got to keep it up and you can't quit.
Yeah, and for all of you who love us and watch us, we want to ask you to help us keep this momentum going. Please like and subscribe. Please hit that bell icon, and please comment. Put comments of 4 words or more. Then it'll help with the algorithms, all that stuff. And we say it so much, but every one of your comments, I actually heard from somebody who said that they were given one of our episodes and it really helped them through the time that they're going through. That helps us realize that we have some kind of impact, that we are building momentum here. So we ask for your support to help us be a part of the Mad Men Mafia, help us continue the momentum. If you like what we do, please like, subscribe, and share.
It don't cost nothing
to
hit a button on your screen. It costs absolutely nothing to hit share, to forward. It costs you nothing to type in a few words. All that stuff affects all the algorithms that go in the background. And the more people engage directly on the platforms that we have, that being the Mad Men Masculinity Facebook page, YouTube page, the more people engage, the more it tells all those algorithms that, hey, we need to put this in front of other people. So, and that helps keep momentum. That helps us keep going. And then again, it is encouraging when we hear these stories. And I told you not too long ago, man, I was at a local neighborhood restaurant, and a guy that lives in town was like, yeah, when y'all were talking about this and that, and he brought up something from I don't even know when. I was like, bro, you could have put a comment in there. But it's still good to know that people are listening and people are watching and all that kind of good stuff. So we appreciate every single one of y'all for doing that.
And thank you so much for watching, and thank you for keeping the momentum. And until next time, we as the Mad Men are getting off the struggle bus, hopefully very soon.
We are out.